The coach should take upon the role of a friend. A friend is someone that shares mutual trust, respect, and support. They will have a high level of understanding for your needs and personality, leading to ease within difficult situations. Most importantly is that the coach will accept the performer for who they are with no mistreatment. The positive aspects of your coach being your friend is that they will see you as people and not just as players, or for example in the case of netball, as positions. This leads to a connection between the player and coach due to a high level of understanding of the emotional and physical experiences. Another positive aspect is in fact that they do get to share the emotional experiences through stressful times. This could be a shot put player is going through some family struggles or problems with their studies. If the coach is their friend, they can talk about these issues and have a safe environment to act as a distraction. On the other hand, there are negatives to your coach being your friend, one of which the performer may either intentionally or unintentionally put a lack of effort in within both training and or fixtures. For example, a swimmer that is a friend to their coach is much more likely to stand up in the water to have a chat, therefore training becomes less effective. Another aspect is when the performer perhaps doesn't want to be friends with the coach, and it's the coach's decision to force a friendship. This can happen in team sports, such as football, where the coach may feel isolated from the players and try to force a friendship, perhaps making the players feel uncomfortable. Being biased is something a coach wants to avoid at all costs. However, if a friendship is formed, the coach may be influenced by one player, for example, during selections for a rugby team. There is a player that trains harder and deserves it more, but the coach chooses his friend to be on the squad who doesn't train as hard. There are two more negative reasons I've left off your slide, so you don't have to do lots of reading, so I will briefly talk about them. There is the problem of legal aspects, and that a friendship could be inappropriate or misunderstood. One of the most difficult situations is the coach of a gymnast, as gymnastics involves lots of manual guidance, causing the coach to be hands-on. A friendship between the coach and the performer in this instance could be easily misunderstood. Lack of criticism will be given if the coach is your friend, as they will try to avoid hurting your feelings. This can happen within any sport, but an example being that a tennis coach may not tell the performer what they need to work on, leading to the player never improving their performance. The coach should take upon the role of a role model. A role model is someone that you can look up to, or an inspiration. Some may possibly even use the word idol. They are someone that constantly shows good conduct within their behaviour. This leads to a role model being someone that influences you into making decisions, both good and bad. There are many positives to your coach being your role model. They influence you to make decisions. One major decision that athletes might come across is whether or not to use performance-enhancing drugs. An example of this is a cyclist coach has always told you losing the right way is better than winning the wrong way. The cyclist is much more likely to be able to resist the urge of drugs. Another is that the role model is probably highly respected by the performer, meaning that the performer is willing to listen to them. This is vital and critical game-changing moments in sport. For example, during half-time in a football game, the coach has noticed the opposing team has a weakness but only has 15 minutes in half-time to exploit this, by explaining to the players what they need to change and achieve in the second half. This needs the players to have respect for the coach and listen, which is easily achieved if the coach is your role model. The coach being your role model can also help provide motivation. For example, a swimmer has just got a coach that they aspire to be like and have always looked up to. This makes the swimmer work harder during training and races. The coach themselves act as the motivation. If the coach is a role model, they are likely to be a pro or an ex-pro and have been in the media. An example is a kayaker as a coach that has been through many competitions and experiences, so knows all about the external conditions. This is primarily important in sports like kayaking, where the environment can affect you. The fact that they are the performer's role model shows they have good decisions in life, but also that they must have a good level of performance. For example, a netballer wouldn't aspire to have a role model that was terrible at following the rules of footwork. Therefore, having a role model for a coach means they have a good level of technique, which means the performer will not pick up bad habits. There are 4 major negatives to the coach being your role model. Bad decisions being copied by the performer is one. This can happen in any sport, but let's look at basketball. A young player is starting basketball, and the coach is making some questionable decisions. These can be copied by the performer, putting them at a disadvantage. This could be as simple as the coach had a bad attitude towards the rules and encourages the athlete constantly to bend the rules to the limit. Having role models is a good thing. However, there are a lack of female role models. This could lead to women becoming disheartened as they have no aspirations. This comes down to the media. Sports such as golf are hugely male-dominated. This could make a female golfer disheartened due to a lack of role models, showing that there is a clear lack of career opportunities. There is a combined negative that most role models are generally surrounded by the idea of money and fame, and not that they are actually good examples of role models. An example of this is Lance Armstrong, a well-known cyclist with lots of money and fame. However, he has been caught blood doping, therefore making him an inappropriate role model to aspire to be like. In some cases, your role model could have bad mannerisms, such as shouting abuse at opposing players or lack of respect towards officials. This can happen in many sports, but often most commonly found in football. For example, the football coach is standing in the technical area shouting abuse at the official who is working the line. This therefore makes a negative role model. A motivator is someone to help you get through the tough times and keep going and to stop you from giving up. They provide encouragement and help you achieve your maximum potential. The positive aspects of your coach being your motivator is self-belief. The motivator easily gives the player the reason to have self-belief. For example, the long jump coach constantly tells the jumper that they can do it, and it will reinforce the aspect of self-belief, helping the jumper have the confidence to perform at their best. A motivator will build you back up after setbacks. For example, a rugby player has had a bad game and ends up breaking bones and being embarrassed on the pitch. A motivator will help you in the road to recovery, both physically and mentally, to aid the player back into the sport and onto the pitch. A motivator will know your capability and make sure that the athlete reaches their full potential and doesn't give up when it starts to get hard. This could be a squash player believes they've reached a level of performance they are happy with, but the coach knows that their speed and reaction time could improve, and they are going to motivate the performer to get their maximum potential. The coach may even motivate the player in attempts to keep them positive and engaged with the sport. There are many tough times during a long sporting career. Some may even make you want to end your sporting career completely. For example, a trampolinist hasn't been improving in an extremely long time, and they are sorely losing motivation as the training is intense but very little improvement is being seen. The coach can motivate the player to continue and committing to the sport. The motivator can help you set goals that the performer may not have initially set themselves. They will motivate the performer to reach past what they thought they were initially able to do. An example of this could be in sprinting. The athlete may have a goal to finish in the top 3 for their biggest sprint of the season. The athlete without this goal may have thought any position in this race would have been an achievement, but with the coach setting the goal, it might just give the athlete a little more motivation to do well. On the other hand, there are some negative aspects to your coach being your motivator. Overmotivation or inappropriate motivation. This can happen in sports where you may need to keep a cool and steady head. For example, archery. The coach may try to motivate you by getting you hyped up and changing your arousal level. However, this can be harmful to the performer, as in archery you need to keep your heart rate low to be able to perform the best. The player can become dependent on motivation and always being motivated by their coach. However, in a sport like tennis, the coach cannot shout onto the court to motivate you. This could leave the performer feeling demotivated and alone, therefore could lead to the performer not playing as well as they should. Motivation doesn't always work for athletes. They may find that it's too intensive and can put them off. In some cases, it can lead to anger of the performer towards the coach, which would completely go against the idea of the coach motivating them. Let's say, for example, the coach of a handballer is causing the player to feel irritated due to the intense nature of the motivation, therefore putting the handballer in a bad mindset for playing the sport. As I said before, a motivator will help you set goals. This is normally a positive thing as it gives you something to strive for. However, not all goals are good goals. For example, a fencing coach may say to the athlete they need to win every game in the competitive season. This could be unachievable, especially if the athlete is new to the sport. This could then lead to them feeling disheartened or dismotivated when they don't hit their goals. Motivation can also act as added pressure, which makes the athlete perform worse. A gymnast could receive motivation from the coach. However, they may overthink this and take it as added pressure, which may negatively affect their performance. A trainer is someone that pushes you to reach your full potential, and they help you through the physical and mental stresses of sport. Most trainers are often specialised in one aspect of their field. This should hopefully play into the athlete's hands. This should also mean that they have an extremely high skill level in their field, which also allows them to coach the athlete to the best of their ability. So here are the positives. The trainers are often specialised in an aspect of their field. For example, a heptathlon coach may be highly specialised in the 100-metre hurdles, so they can help you in that area. Trainers have often got experience in not just helping you physically, but also psychologically too. For example, a marathon runner trainer will be fully aware that the marathon running is just as painful mentally as it is physically, so they can aid the marathon runner to keep going. The other positives of the coach being your trainer all interlinked. The coach will take into considerations such as age and gender. This will lead to careful planning of training, and then they will be able to monitor improvement of the performer. So the coach will take into account that the gymnast is under 16 and she is female. Therefore, the planning over the training sessions would not include any heavy weights as her bones are still growing, and progress of the training sessions that would be set would also be appropriate for the performer. However, there are negatives to your coach being your trainer. As I said on the last slide, that a lot of trainers are specialised. This is a positive thing if it is a sport you are interested in. However, it could be that your coach has a specialism in something that you aren't interested or don't enjoy, and they convince you that you should participate in that event. This is most likely to happen if you're an athlete that participates in multiple events. For example, a triathlon. The coach may convince you to focus on the cycling side, and then the other two aspects of the triathlon become weak. However, the problem that comes with trainers that aren't specialised is that they become too generic and cannot help the athlete in the correct way. They will not be able to give enough specific knowledge of the sport, such as pristine technique. For example, a coach that works at a school may not know how to coach the netball team when it comes to set plays, as they do not have enough experience or knowledge in the sport. The last point to consider is that if they are a trainer that usually specialises in a single player or multiple player sport, for example, a coach that has been a dart coach for years suddenly decides to become a lacrosse coach. This is completely different, because the coach will have gone from coaching only one person to multiple players. This could become quite inefficient and ineffective.